We're going to be analyzing my brother Stefan's forehand in this video. So let's start off here by taking a look at his forehand. Let's watch it once. Let's watch that one more time. See how it looks right now. Okay, now we're going to compare it to my forehand here, and we're going to do a couple different comparisons in this video with some pro players as well. So let's start off by looking at his forehand here, and we're going to go over a few different points. Now, the first point I want to make here is Stefan, and we can play these through first. Let's look at both of these. Okay, and the first thing I want to point out is that Stefan sets his racket down too early, and then it stays there for a split second. It's very hard to see, it's very slight, but when one watches it at full speed, let's go back here, you'll notice that Stefan brings his racket down and then he sets it down for a second, and he doesn't use that gravity and momentum to continuously keep his swing going. Watch here, he sets it down there. Did you see that? Let's watch it one more time. He sets it down and then he accelerates. So he sets his racket down on the ground and then he accelerates. So he's losing a lot of power there by stopping his swing and discontinuing his swing. The swing needs to be fluid and continuous. Okay, let's look at these slow motions here. Let's look at Stefan's first. Okay, that one was actually a little more fluid. Stefan did it more fluid there, and he actually moved forward there. I tried to pick the best shots that Stefan gave me. Stefan gave me a bunch of shots. I tried to pick the best ones. Let's compare that with mine here. Okay, so that's the first pointer I wanted to go over here, is that there's a slight pause at the bottom of his swing. Now to fix that, Stefan needs to keep his racket up for longer. Keep his racket up for longer, and then only drop his racket when he's ready to continue his swing. So don't bring it down and keep it there for a split second. And it's even less than that. It's even less than a split second probably. But can keep it continuous, and that way he'll get a lot more power. Okay, let's move on to pointer number 2. And so here we're comparing Stefan's forehand to Federer. Okay, let's play it through one time. Can look at Stefan first. Okay, let's play it through one more time. Let's look at Federer this time, can compare. All right, and it's not my favorite Federer forehand because he's just practicing in this video, so he's kind of doing a lazy forehand. He doesn't actually play like that. But pointer number 2 is, and I wish Stefan gave me a sideward view. I don't have a sideward view here, but I can still see that Stefan does not move forward enough during his shots. So if you look at where Stefan starts and where he finishes, he will stay in the same place, basically. His feet didn't move at all. Okay. His feet didn't move at all. They basically stay right here the whole time. Right? They basically stay right there. Whereas when you watch Federer's here, let's go back. Okay, when you watch Federer's here, he will bring his right foot around. Okay, so Federer brings his right foot around there. Okay, so his feet go like that. His right foot goes around. And that's something Stefan needs to work on. He moves a lot to the side. So with his footwork, you basically want your body momentum to go forward. Federer does this awesome, and we can look at another shot here of Federer forwards. He moves forwards. Here he did an approach shot, and he actually did a closed stance with his left foot in front, and he will continue to move forward. He kind of does a little hop there, then he turns his hips, and he continues to move forward, so his right foot's in front now. You can do the same thing. You can still continue to move forward if you do an open stance, as we'll see here. So see Federer's coming forward again, and you see here he's doing an open stance. And the way to move forward with an open stance is to move your right foot out in front first. So see this right foot? He's moving it out in front first. And that's key to continue moving forward during the open stance. This is specific to the open stance. I'm showing both here so you can understand how to move forward with the closed stance and the open stance. So his right foot goes forward first, and then he continues to move forward. So that's a way you can move your body forward with the open stance. Right foot goes forward first, continue to move forward, and you can do it with the closed stance as well. You can continue to move forward. You just put your left foot in front, and then you pivot like usual. Okay, Federer did kind of like a little bunny hop, kind of on his front foot there. He jumped up on his on his left foot, and then he landed on his left foot. Yet he's bringing his other foot around. He's continuing to move forward. He's pivoting. All right, let's go back to Stefan's forehand here. Okay, Stefan, when he hits it, okay, he puts his weight on his outside foot, which isn't wrong. I'm not a fan of the open stance unless you have to. I think the closed stance is a lot better because you can transfer your weight into the shot a lot better. Really, if you can do the closed stance every time, you should. So I'd like to see a closed stance from Stefan here since he has the time. Now let's go to one of my shots here. So here I have the time, right? So I have the time. I get there on time, and since I have the time, I use a closed stance. And you'll see how far forward I move with my footwork. I'm talking all footwork here. That's a huge difference from how Stefan is moving. Now, Stefan's using an open stance. Not a big fan of the open stance, especially if you have the time. If you have the time, get it to the closed stance. You can use your body weight so much better. So look at Stefan's footwork here. Open stance. He kind of moves up a little bit and to the left. Up and to the left. So his body weight isn't going into the shot hardly at all. He's using just rotation to get power into the shot, but he's not using his body weight at all. Now, if we look at my shot here, I get there early, I get behind the ball, and that's key. So I'm running to the right, and to be able to put my weight into the ball, I need to be behind the ball so I can push the ball forwards. And that's pretty key. So getting in your spots early, and that's why some coaches say move your feet, but they don't say exactly what to do. They just say keep your feet moving. That's not really helpful. Kids, like, people don't understand that. What does move your feet mean? Why should I move my feet? I'm just wasting my energy. You want to get in position so that you can move forward and put your body weight into the shot every time. That's probably what your coach means by move your feet. They just don't know how to say it. So get into position, get behind the ball, and then you can move forwards as you hit the ball. See, I'm not only by pivoting here, I'm not only pivoting, but I'm also putting my body weight into the shot. And you'll see where I started, where my feet started. My right foot started here. Actually, let's keep that. So it started here, and then as we continue here, it ended right there. Right here. That's a huge transference of weight into the shot. Now, if we look at Stefan's here, let's just compare. Okay, so foot started right here. Okay, let's continue. And then he finishes the shot, and he ends in the exact same place. There's no transference of weight there. It's a very superficial shot, not a very penetrating shot, okay? So that is our second point there. Have to move forward to the shot, have to put your weight into the shot, okay? We also went over closed stance. That was the third point. Do the closed stance if you can. You can transfer so much more weight into the shot. Every single chance you get, you should be doing the closed stance. Open stance is more for when you're running side to side, you don't have much time, okay? You can still pivot very well with the open stance, but it's a lot harder to transfer weight into the shot unless you're doing what Federer is doing, which is, still moving forward like that. Still moving forward. Let me get rid of this. Okay. Now, let's look at the last point. Stefan is pulling to the side so much. And let's look at that here. Let's look at Stefan here. So let's watch Stefan first. He pulls to the side, so he's pulling back to the middle. He wants to get back to the middle, get ready. I get it. Okay, let's watch Federer here. Okay. Now, I'm going to point out something that's very hard to see because we don't have a side view. but this is something I noticed going over it a lot. Stefan pulls to the side with his racket and does not extend forward enough, therefore does not keep the ball on his strings long enough. And it's hard to see this since this is the back view. But if you look, okay, there's contact. Okay, Federer's making contact, Stefan's making contact. Stefan's going to bring his arm in a lot sooner instead of extending forward. So Stefan keeps his arms very close when he does his forehand, and he basically hits the ball, and then he comes right here. Instead of hitting the ball and extending out forwards first, extending forwards, and then coming back. So that's something I noticed there. Probably when Stefan puts his weight into the shot and isn't using his footwork to just pull side to side, that will all come together and he'll automatically be keeping the ball on the strings longer and directing his racket forwards a lot more. I think that will happen automatically once he fixes his weight transfer. I really do. But that's something I noticed even more. That's the fourth point I noticed here, is that Stefan pulls to the side. He's always pulling to the side. We need to fix that to where it's going forward every time. Even if you have a little bit of time, you should move your feet behind the ball and you should move forward. You'll get so much more penetration into the court, okay? Now, let's look at Carlos Alcaraz here. And I'm going to tell you what I mean, because Carlos is going to do open stance here. And I'm going to show you the difference between pulling to the side, using open stance, and using open stance and transferring the weight forwards. So what Carlos is doing here, he's pivoting, but if you'll see his right hip, it's like he's pointing it forwards, whereas Stefan, when he does that, he's pulling to the left. And that's a big difference. Same stance, but big difference. So you see how Carlos kind of hits it all comes from the hip. He's basically hitting his hip forwards. Whereas if we go back to Stefan here, and let's look at this forehand, he's pulling to the left with his hip. He's not pushing forwards. And it's a very small thing to see. It's very, very difficult to see. But that is a big difference here. Look at Carlos with his open stance. He's thinking, I'm moving forwards. I'm hitting the ball forwards, right? Even though he's doing an open stance. Let's look at another one here. Let's run this at full speed. Okay, again, it's like the hip is going forwards. Let's look at the third one here. It's all the same thing. Hip forwards, okay? He turns, and he's basically hitting with his hip there. He's rotating, and he's hitting forwards. He's not pulling to the left, okay? So those are the big keys there. Stefan was making a slight pause at the bottom with his swing. He needs to keep that continuous. No pauses at the bottom, none whatsoever. Okay, that'll give him a lot more power. Stefan was having very little forwards movement. We need to fix that. Get behind the ball, move forwards. Okay, that was pointer number 2. Use a closed stance when you can. Okay, if you're not used to moving forwards, using a closed stance all the time for several months will really train your mind to move forwards and transfer your body weight into the ball. Okay, and the last pointer, number 4, is don't pull to the side. You got to think move forwards. Even if you're doing an open stance, you decide to do an open stance, maybe you don't have time, or maybe that's the shot you want to hit. You got to think moving forwards. You got to think, I'm going forwards in that direction, hip going forwards, racket going in that direction. Don't pull to the side. Okay. Stefan actually has a tournament this weekend. That's why I wanted to pump out this video. So hopefully he can use some of these tips to help him. If you'd like me to analyze one of your strokes, I do offer a service where I'll analyze one of your strokes just like in this video here. So if you're interested in that, click the links below to check that out. Thanks for watching.